Sup nerds, I'm Tom, and I'm going to take you through my top 10 games of all time as of 2018. We forgot to do one in 2017, but we did one back in 2016, so you can go watch that, see how much I've changed as a gamer and how much better our quality's gotten.
You probably don't want to watch that one.
Normally for our videos, we kind of have the games sprawled across the table, but I didn't want to put our top 10 games in here because that's kind of spoiler territory. So we just decorated the table with things that kind of describe who we are. Like I put some of my favorite movies out here.
Who you are.
Yeah, oh, right. So this for me. So my favorite movies, Wolverine comic books, Stephen King book, some gin. I used to work construction, but now I'm in film school. Little things like that. And also, before I really get into it,
Thinks he's jacked.
I used to work out. I stopped abruptly. Before I really get into my list, I do need to have two quick honorable mentions. The first one is to Risk, because that is the game that kind of got me into the hobby. And then the second one is Magic, because that was the game that really had me dive into the hobby. So my number 10, and it's going to sound really weird that this is already in my top 10 because the game isn't even out yet, and that is by White Wizard Games, Sorcerer.
I almost did that.
Really?
I was so close. I'm like, it's not even out yet. I haven't played a real game.
Man. You just don't have the balls like I do, dude. I mean, we got the prototype during the Kickstarter for this game, and we were super honored, first of all, to even have it, but we played it I played it probably like 10 times in like the 3 days that I had it in my possession. We played the Battle Royale format. I played like every single different deck archetype, like at least each of the dudes, and then probably each of the different locations. I can't remember what they call it. There's 3 different levels. I can't remember what they're called. But I played
it's family or something.
There's lineage. Yeah, lineage. Aaron didn't play it, so he's
play
just standing here.
Like character lineage in the location.
Yeah, Aaron was at a time when we had it. But it is because Magic is the game that got me into it. That game feels an awful lot like Magic, but it has dice combat. It doesn't have actual deck building. It just has the smash the 3 things together.
And I've actually heard it compared to Smash Up because you have different locations that you're sending people to try to capture.
Yeah.
So it's barely there, but I can see where they're coming from with that.
Sure. But for all of those reasons, and the fact that I only played it a couple times, and yet I know that there's still so much more content even coming out for the Kickstarter got, hit a lot of stretch goals. All those reasons is why Sorcerer is already in my top 10 at number 10. So my number 9 is another new game. It is out, but we actually just finished talking about it, and it's Pulsar 2849. I know. Nice. When you were like, oh, this is probably going to be in your top 10, I was like, if you haven't seen our thoughts on Pulsar 2089, I go into real depth about how much I love the game and why I love the game. But it's a really solid Euro that's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. There's tons of options. There's really clever drafting. I could probably play it with my mom in a couple of years.
No way. No way.
As her brain deteriorates more and more.
No, as she gets smarter from all the other games.
She's gonna watch this. You watch yourself.
Yeah, man, come on. My number 8 is a game that unfortunately I've heard rumors that they have an expansion for it already designed, but that they're never gonna print because the game didn't actually sell that well, and it's Elysium by Space Cowboys. I absolutely love this game. This has a card drafting system in it, and drafting isn't my favorite mechanic. But when there is a mechanic and it's done in a unique and really, really clever way, that makes me get super interested in the game. Like the fact that the drafting in Pulsar is really clever. I liked it. The fact that the drafting in Elysium is clever. The fact that the card crafting in Mystic Vale is really clever. Like, really clever aspects of games kind of hook me in. And Elysium really sunk its teeth in because every time I play, the last round or two, I'm always staring at the board like, there is a good move. There's a really good move. Where is it? And it's just super unfortunate that I don't think we're going to see.
Well, maybe now we are. Maybe the thousands of people that are going to watch this, if all of you go buy the game and write Space Cowboys letter, Dear Space Cowboy.
No, we're going to have a petition for you guys to sign. I'm going to make a lot of accounts to sign this petition. What do you think my number 7 is going to be? We're going to do this?
Cyclades. I saw your list.
Oh, did you really?
I just saw it. I'm like, Cyclades is on there.
So Wes is right. My number 7 is Cyclades, whatever, however you pronounce it. It is another really clever mechanic. It's got bidding in it, but it's done in a different way. Where you bid on the gods, but somebody can bounce you off and jump around, and when I play it with some of the people who I've played it a couple of times, we all kind of know I know what you're going to do, and I know what you want me to do, so I'm going to do this because I know you're going to try and outbid me for that so that I can go over to there. It's all this really deep mind games. And actually, this was on my list in 2016, and I hadn't played with any of the expansions. I have since played with 2 out of the 3. I haven't played with Monuments yet. And while I do think those are really good, I still think this spot on my list is for base Cyclades. Base, like, including the expansion, sure, but like even if I hadn't played those, I would still have Cyclades. I don't know if it would be on the number 7, but it would be on the list. My number 6, and it's weird because this kind of completely covers up one that I had before. Like I just swapped out this game with this game because they're really similar.
Oh, I know what it is now.
What?
I bet I know what it is now.
Champions of Midgard. Yeah. But only Champions of Midgard with the 2 expansions. Because base...
So you took out Lords of Waterdeep.
Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah, I swapped out Lords of Waterdeep with this. But I still think base Lords of Waterdeep to base Champions, I'd choose base Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep plus the 2 expansion models compared to Champions of what? Midgard plus the 2 expansion modules, Champions of Midgard would edge out. And ever since those expansions have come out, I've never played just the base game.
Yeah.
I've always played with those 2. So now that is the game for me.
And you have the big mat that everything fits on there so
it's absolutely amazing.
Anytime you add a mat to a game, it's instantly better.
Exactly.
Like overnight.
Especially when it's like the exact same as the game board, but it's just a mat. You're like, it's so much better. Look at the way it rolls. What are you gonna fold? It's so dumb. Look at this rolling.
Folding things.
Worker placements is one of my favorite mechanics in board games. I love how you're rolling dice, but you really can. While there's a lot of RNG in dice rolling in general, you really can kind of just assure that you're going to win some of these battles. You can just go there with so many dice that you're like, the odds are so in my favor. It's really hard for me to not win. But like, and it's a really good game to like teach to newer people, and they'll sit down. Even with both expansions, I had my Devin. He was like, he played a couple of games before, and we sat down to Champions of Midgard, and he was like, I don't know, dude, this looks like a lot. I'm like, trust me, the first round you'll be overwhelmed. Second round, you'll think you'll get it. Third round, you will get it. And he actually beat me. He got more points than I did.
And the expansions don't like add a lot of complexity to the game. It's just more options, more things to do.
Instead of going down to fight the sea monsters, you can go up into the mountains and fight.
And the fact,
and then every time you lose dice,
that's the best.
It just like makes losing dice like.
It's more important. It's more important which dice you lose.
Yeah. This isn't our thoughts.
No, but you're right though that like that amount.
We do need to fill in our thoughts though.
We do. It's still on the list.
It's on the wall.
It's right here in the middle of this.
I do think the Valhalla adds the most of the expansions, but the fact that I can like kind of cover up that half of the board and be like, don't look at that right now. Here's how the game plays.
Yeah.
And then instead of doing this, you can do the mountain, and then when your dudes die, we'll worry about this. Like that's it. But the game is still so, like, those 8 rounds that you're sitting there, there are so many times when I'm just staring at the board, like, I swear to God, if he takes it, damn it, he took it! Okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And that is one of the main things in games that I like, so obviously that's one of the main mechanics that puts Champions of Midgard on the list. My number 5 is an LCG.
Ooh.
Oh, well, now I know what the next one is.
Yeah.
But which one comes first? I'm going to think that... Oh, there's 3. So there's Lord of the Rings, there's Game of Thrones, and Netrunner.
Spoilers!
Lord of the Rings isn't going to be on his list.
I'm going to think that Game of Thrones isn't going to be. I think it's Netrunner. I think it's Lord of the Rings is number 5, and number 4 is Netrunner. That's what I'm thinking.
Number 5 is Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, the living card game, really, really jumped up for me, because like the very first time I played it, I was like, this is dumb. It was like way before I even knew like what an LCG was or why like deck building for those types of games was fun and important. I just wanted it to be a box that I opened up and we played it and then we put it back. I didn't want to have to think about that.
LCGs do not work that way.
No, of course not. And it's not until like your 8th deck that you build that you're like, oh, I get it now. But I love sitting down and deck building for this game because none of those cards can be used against you. They're all, it's not going to be, I'm going to build this, so I hope, my opponent brings this. You can play that against whatever scenario you want.
Yeah.
But like that specific card that you're putting in there, you will never see your opponent play. It's always the encounter deck, which is completely different cards. Of course, the theme really hits home for me. For me personally, I like Lord of the Rings more than Game of Thrones just in general in terms of the lore and movies and shows and what have you.
Lord of the Rings is definitely one of those that like, I want to play it more because I really think like it has top 10 potential for me. Spoilers for my video, it's not on there, But that's mostly because I've only played like 2 or 3 times with decks that you built for me, and partly because I don't have time for deck building. But I was actually thinking of making my list of like, I love Lord of the Rings. There should be more good Lord of the Rings games. There's a couple good ones out there, but I was like, the LCG is just such a thematic. You feel like you are like in the story, not like in the actual story, because it's kind of.
Yeah, but you're in whatever storyline they're putting forth for you. Have you played Lord of the Rings?
I've played one scenario once and we lost. So
We should do that more.
Yeah, we should lose more. My number 4 is another LCG, and it is Android Netrunner.
Woohoo! Surprise!
Yeah. I know. I love how we're like all like, ooh, oh my god, that's so surprising. It wasn't surprising. When most of you probably have no idea who the fuck I am. Netrunner was actually the first LCG that I played and like really got into. And it's another one of those unique things where I was so blown away by the idea of, so it's asymmetrical, but the idea that you are literally trying to steal cards from me, like you're just yanking cards from my hand and from my deck and hoping that you get the ones that you need. And you're adjusting the probability and all that, and that's the way it works. So it's not just all random chaos, but it is so clever. Like I had never seen something like that before. And the fact that you can deck build for that, like I would think like that is such a unique prospect to really even understand how to go about building a deck. And it's still kind of hard, like the way that deck building for the corp works. You have to have between this many agenda points and then this many cards, and it's pretty intense. But every time I've sat down to play it, I've gotten crushed because a lot of the people around here are really good, which is part of the reason why I haven't played it in a while. But I always stop and think like, yeah, there's a reason why I love this. This is so well designed.
I can see why it's in your top because you've played it a lot and you go to the tournaments a couple times and you buy all the packs. And like the more you invest in a game, the more you must like it. You have to tell yourself you like it.
Netrunner is a game that like is just it's going to be in your top 10 like ad nauseum. Like 2039 Tom's top 10. He's the only one left
like
still
if we,
doing this in his big mom's basement.
But like thinking back to some of the things I did in 2016, there are some games that aren't in my top 10 anymore. Like Summoner Wars dropped out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Summoner. Spoiler alert, but like
what?
But like I love like it would still be in my top 20, but I love that game so much. But like your tastes change, and Netrunner switched places because it used to be above this next game, which is my number 3, which is a Game of Thrones LCG. A Game of Thrones
did make it in there.
Game of Thrones is my absolute.
That's better than Lord of the Rings and Netrunner.
Better than both.
Man.
The card game is. I like Lord of the Rings lore and stuff better than Game of Thrones, but the card game. First of all, I'm just better at it than I am at Netrunner, and I mean.
Or the people you play are worse at it. Like
No. We in the most recent tournament where I came in second, we had like people from it wasn't just people I knew here in Gainesville. We had people drive up from like Tampa and stuff, and it is just one of those. It's constantly you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. With every challenge I make and every move you make, I'm watching you. But also, it is really thematic. While I still like Lord of the Rings better, I know a lot about Game of Thrones because I'm watching the show and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is totally something that Robert Baratheon would do. Totally. This is totally something that Melisandre would do. I love playing House Baratheon and House Greyjoy, in case you were wondering. And if you want to play against me at Gen Con, I probably won't bring any of my stuff. So I've only got two left, and this is gonna blow your mind.
Wait.
Cosmic
and Descent. But I'm gonna say Cosmic's still number 1. Descent and then Cosmic.
My number 2 is Cosmic Encounter.
What? Finally, that stupid game gets off your number 1.
I still love it. It was because we played through the Labyrinth of Ruin campaign for Descent recently. Oh, spoilers. That made me go like, this game's just. I do enjoy this game better. I love Cosmic Encounter. I love all the wacky encounters that happen. I love all the crazy things. I love how many expansions for it. I love the Game of Thrones version, the Iron Throne. That one's still really good. There's so much about this game to love. Some of the detriments to it is it's really good with a lot of people. try and get 5 or 6 people to sit down from, okay, shut up, Wesley. It's really hard to get 5 or 6 or 7 people to all sit down who already know how to play the game. So I usually have to tailor it back. I can't play with a lot of the really wacky things, the expansion modules, like any of the technology cards or like weird stuff like that. I usually have to tailor it back for the crowd, or play with a smaller number of people, which just really isn't good for that game.
It's supposed to be wacky, so you're supposed to have more people, so there's more interactions and more craziness and more people ganging up on each other. Like that's what makes that game what it is.
And that's why Wes doesn't like it, because people just we'll gang up on him or something, and he'll be like, "This is stupid. I'm Wes."
I will say that I liked the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Like I'm still considering picking that one up because it was I don't know what it was about like the theme or the slight differences, but I thought that one it was like streets ahead of Game of Thrones for me.
If you don't know what that is, and your streets behind. So now we're on to my number 1, and I already kind of said it. It's Descent: Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition. And I guess also Imperial Assault could kind of be in there. I mean, they're super similar. I do like Descent better because I care more. I like Star Wars, but I like that medieval theme of Descent just better.
I think because it's closer to Lord of the Rings.
Like, it is, yeah.
If they came out with a Lord of the Rings version of it, that would probably trump this one.
I would throw it. No, I wouldn't. I own everything for Descent, like all the heroes and monster packs, all the lieutenant packs. So there's no way I'm throwing anything out ever. Like I'm even considering purchasing like Descent First Edition stuff because I met a guy who had everything for First Edition, and he said he was selling it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe.
Just for history's sake.
I mean, why would I not want to have that? If it's one of my favorite games, there was another version that was different. It's like getting more content for the game.
Yeah, and you had a chance to get the old version of Cosmic, and you passed that up.
But that's different. That's like just like crappier components and less refined rules. This is like a different version. It'd be just as much as getting Imperial Assault also.
Would you play First Edition, do you think?
Yeah, totally. Just probably more for a nostalgic sake, but like having Descent, probably more for nostalgic than just for like, okay, what you said, probably like 20% of what you said, right?
Yeah.
Like a 20% for historical nostalgia, and then 80%
for new
for more of what I like.
That's fair. That's fair.
But that same reason, I would own Imperial Assault if it weren't for the fact that I knew you were going to get it.
Yeah.
Will has it. Greg has it. And there is one thing I do want to comment on is we are filming our top 10 right now after the Dice Tower filmed theirs, and Tom Vassel's top number 1 game for forever was Cosmic Encounter, and he recently switched it to number 2 for Gloomhaven to be his number 1. I came up with my decision to switch these way before I ever heard that happened. If anything, he copied me, or it's just a Tom thing that Toms do.
If you enjoyed listening to Tom's top 10, you should listen to my top 10 and Wes's top 10. We'll have links in the description below. You might have already watched ours, so you'd be rewatching it if you went back.
Mine was definitely the first one you guys watched.
Just let us know whose list you liked more by leaving a comment in one of the videos.
I am interested in hearing what you guys think about his top 10, things you agree with, disagree with, things that shocked you. There's going to be purchase links for those things down there too. All the games he talked about, purchase links. Every single Descent expansion, every single data pack for Netrunner, purchase links to all of that.
All going to be down there.
There's one link to Amazon.com.
And hey, while you're down there buying every single game that was on my list, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so you will never be bored. Try and get 5 or 6 people to sit down from... Okay, shut up, Wesley. Wesley doesn't like it. I don't give a that you don't like it. Okay. Throwback.